November 1932, unemployment hit 25%. Thanksgiving dinner cost $2, or your family went hungry. But mothers across America created feasts from scraps. It's Thursday, November 24th, 1932. Banks have failed, breadlines stretched for blocks. Families who once celebrated abundance now count pennies for survival. In kitchens from Oklahoma to Pennsylvania, mothers face empty cupboards and hungry children expecting Thanksgiving. No turkey, no cranberries from the store, no pumpkin pie with fresh cream. These weren't charity meals. These were innovation born from desperation, recipes whispered between neighbors, techniques passed from grandmother to daughter when the old ways no longer worked. Home economists documented these dishes. Relief agencies recorded these menus. Newspapers printed these recipes for families choosing between heat and food. Today, I'm taking you back. When Thanksgiving wasn't about abundance, it was about dignity, resourcefulness, and refusing to let hunger destroy tradition. Stay with me. These 25 forgotten recipes tell how American families celebrated gratitude when they had almost nothing left to be grateful for. Number 1. Mock turkey beef roll. November 1932. Real turkey cost $3.50 more than most families earned in a week. But Martha Williams in Akron, Ohio, refused to let her children miss Thanksgiving. Ground beef cost 12 cents per pound. She shaped 2 pounds into a roll. Martha mixed ground beef with breadcrumbs, soaked in milk, stretching the meat as far as it would go. She seasoned it with sage, thyme, and onion, the smells of proper Thanksgiving. She formed the mixture into a log shape, wrapped it in cheesecloth, and tied the ends tight. Into a roasting pan with carrots and potatoes, whatever vegetables remained from the garden, she roasted it for 2 hours at 350 degrees, basting with drippings. The beef browned like turkey skin, the smell filling their cold apartment. During November 1932, butchers sold ground beef at rock bottom prices and sold scraps nobody else wanted. Families discovered that shaped and roasted properly, beef could center a Thanksgiving table with dignity. This wasn't pretending. This was transformation. Cheap meat becoming centerpiece, roasting creating the ritual families needed. Smell and presentation mattering as much as taste. This represented refusing to surrender tradition to poverty. Martha's mock turkey technique spread through Akron's rubber factory neighborhoods. Women sharing the cheesecloth trick, the sage ratio, mock turkey appearing on tables from Goodyear Heights to Firestone Park, every slice carried pride. Tradition adapts or dies. Dignity comes from effort, not money. Survival roasts hope from ground beef. Number 2. Pork neck bone stew, pork neck bones in water, root vegetables if you had them. Simmer neck bones in large pot for 4 hours until meat falls off. Add turnips, carrots, onions, whatever was cheapest at market. The bones release collagen, turning water rich and thick. Salt and pepper only seasonings most families owned. The stew cools to something between soup and gravy. William Peterson made his first pot in rural Minnesota, November 1932. 7 family members, no money for turkey or ham. Butcher gave him neck bones, free just bones, and gristle nobody else wanted. Those bones fed his family for 3 days. Late November 1932, when butchers discarded neck bones as waste, farm families learned that long, slow cooking extracted every bit of nutrition. Neck bone stew became the dish that sustained rural Thanksgivings. Bones released gelatin that thickened the broth. Long cooking softened tough meat until it shredded. Simple method, meaning any family with a pot and fire could make it. William's 4-hour technique spread through Minnesota's farming communities. Men stopping at butcher shops for bones on their way home. Neck bone stew keeping families fed from Bemidji to Mankato. Waste becomes feast. Time transforms refuse. Survival simmers nutrition from bones. Number 3. Salmon loaf before the Depression. Fresh fish, delicacy, special occasion. After October 1929, canned salmon, affordable protein, Thanksgiving substitute, economic collapse transformed every table. November 1932, when a can of salmon cost 15 cents and fed 6 people. Helen Kowalski in Chicago faced Thanksgiving with no money for turkey or ham. 2 cans of pink salmon sat in her pantry bought before the crash. She opened both cans carefully. Not luxury. Last protein they owned, crisis made canned fish into holiday centerpiece. Helen drained the salmon, picked out bones and skin. She mixed it with stale breadcrumbs, 1 egg, chopped onion, and milk. Her hands shaped the mixture into a loaf, placing it in a greased pan. She baked it for 45 minutes until the top turned golden brown. The smell was fishy, but substantial, the smell of protein her family desperately needed. She sliced it thick, serving it with white sauce made from flour, butter, and milk. During the Depression's early years, canned salmon was one of few affordable proteins. Home economists promoted it as turkey alternative, nutritious, filling, dignified enough for holidays. This wasn't settling, this was strategic nutrition. Fresh fish was expensive, perishable, upper-class. Canned salmon was affordable, reliable, working-class survival. But salmon loaf provided protein when nothing else was available. Survival tastes like whatever provides strength. Helen's salmon loaf recipe spread through Chicago's Polish neighborhoods, women adding their own touches, dill, lemon, different breadcrumb ratios. After the Depression ended, some families kept making it, remembering when canned fish meant the difference between holiday and hunger. Every slice carried memory. Adaptation preserves tradition. Dignity comes from making something from anything. Crisis bakes hope from cans. Would you have served salmon loaf for Thanksgiving? Called it turkey and pretended? Drop a comment. Number 4. Creamed chipped beef. Dorothy Miller's family hadn't tasted meat in 3 weeks. November 1932, Detroit. Ford laid off her husband in March. Rent was due. But dried beef, the kind that came in jars, cost a quarter and lasted forever. She made cream gravy with flour and milk. Dorothy tore dried beef into strips, salty, tough, preserved meat that soldiers ate in the war. She made white sauce in a pan, butter, flour, milk stirred until thick. She added the beef strips, let them soften in the hot cream. The salt from the beef seasoned the gravy. She poured it over toasted old bread, toasted crisp. Steam rose, the smell rich and creamy. During November 1932, dried beef was one of cheapest preserved proteins available. 1 jar fed a family for days. Creamed over toast, it became substantial enough to call Thanksgiving dinner when nothing else existed. Dried meat becoming tender. Cream gravy transforming preserved rations into comfort food. Toast providing bulk that filled stomachs. This represented making dignity from military surplus. Dorothy's recipe spread through Detroit's unemployed auto worker communities. Women at relief agencies sharing the milk-to-flour ratio. Creamed chipped beef appearing on tables from Highland Park to Hamtramck. Every bite carried gratitude for having anything. Preserved food sustains fresh hope. Cream transforms poverty into plenty. Survival pours grace over toast. Number 5. Liver and onions. Organ meat and onions, pennies per pound. Soak liver in milk for 1 hour to remove bitter taste. Dredge in flour, seasoned with salt and pepper. Fry in hot lard until browned on both sides, never overcook, or it turns tough. Remove liver, fry sliced onions in the same pan until golden and sweet. The onions caramelize in liver drippings, their sweetness balancing the meat's mineral taste. Rose Goldstein made liver for Thanksgiving in New York's Lower East Side. November 1932. Butcher sold liver for 8 cents per pound, cheaper than any other meat. Her family of 6 couldn't afford anything else. But liver provided iron their malnourished bodies desperately needed. Late 1932, when protein was luxury most families couldn't afford. Organ meats became the cuts that sustained working-class tables. Liver and onions became Thanksgiving dinner for thousands who refused to go without. Liver provided concentrated iron and vitamins. Onions added sweetness that made it palatable. Simple preparation, meaning any household with a pan could make it. Rose's milk-soaking technique spread through Lower East Side tenements. Jewish mothers sharing tricks their Eastern European grandmothers knew. Liver and onions, keeping families fed from Rivington to Delancey. Organ meat becomes feast. Onions transform bitterness. Survival fries dignity from the cheapest cut. Number 6. Dandelion greens, salad, foraged dandelion greens and vinegar. Nothing purchased. Pick dandelion greens before first frost-chung leaves are less bitter. Wash thoroughly to remove dirt. Tear into bite-sized pieces. Make dressing from vinegar. Touch of oil, if available, salt, pepper. The greens taste bitter and earthy, nothing like lettuce, but they're free and full of vitamins. Margaret Boone served dandelion salad for Thanksgiving in rural Arkansas, November 1932. No money for store vegetables. Dandelions grew thick in the yard weeds most people ignored. She picked 2 bags full while her children watched, wondering if they'd eat weeds for Thanksgiving. November 1932, when even basic vegetables cost money families didn't have. Foraged greens became the salad course on Depression Thanksgivings. Dandelions grew everywhere, free food, hiding in plain sight. Dandelion greens provided vitamin C and iron. Vinegar dressing made bitterness palatable. Foraging, meaning families could serve vegetables without spending a penny. Margaret's recipe spread through Ozark communities. Women picking dandelions, chicory, wild lettuce, foraged salads appearing on tables from Missouri to Oklahoma. Weeds become sustenance. Vinegar transforms bitterness. Survival picks dignity from the yard. Number 7. Potato stuffing before the Depression. Bread stuffing with celery, onions, sage, butter. After October 1929, mashed potatoes replacing bread. Poverty rewrote every recipe. November 1932, when bread was too precious to use for stuffing, it fed families for days. Catherine Murphy in Boston faced Thanksgiving with a bag of potatoes-only food in her pantry. Bread went to her children's sandwiches. Potatoes became stuffing. She boiled and mashed 10 pounds. Not side dish, centerpiece substitute. Crisis made potatoes sacred. Catherine boiled potatoes until they fell apart. She mashed them with the potato water, no milk, no butter, both too expensive. She added chopped onion, dried sage from last summer's garden, salt and pepper. She spread the mixture in a baking dish, scored the top with a fork. She baked it until the top browned and crisped. The smell was earthy and herbal, almost like real stuffing. During the Depression, potatoes were cheapest food available. 1 bag fed families for weeks. Mothers discovered that seasoned and baked properly, mashed potatoes could replace traditional stuffing. This wasn't poverty. This was innovation. Bread stuffing was traditional, expected, what Thanksgiving should be. Potato stuffing was improvised, unexpected, what Thanksgiving became. But potato stuffing provided starch and comfort when bread couldn't be spared. Survival tastes like adaptation. Catherine's technique spread through Boston's Irish neighborhoods. Women adding their own touches: bacon grease, milk if available, extra herbs. After the Depression, some families preferred a denser, more filling than bread. Every spoonful carried pride. Tradition bends but doesn't break. Potatoes become celebration. Crisis bakes hope from what remains. Number 8. Turnip and carrot mash. Anna Larson's family expected sweet potatoes for Thanksgiving. November 1932, Minnesota. But sweet potatoes cost money they didn't have. Turnips and carrots from the root cellar were free, harvested before first snow stored since September. Dachi boiled them together until soft. Anna cut turnips and carrots into chunks, boiled them until they broke apart under a fork. She drained and mashed them together, the orange carrots brightening the white turnips. She added butter if she had it. Most times she didn't. Salt and pepper. The mash was earthy and slightly sweet, nothing like sweet potatoes, but warm and filling. During November 1932, root vegetables sustained rural families through winter. Turnips grew in poor soil where sweet potatoes wouldn't. Carrots added color and sweetness. Together, they became Depression Thanksgiving's answer to sweet potato casserole. Turnips provided vitamins and stored well. Carrots added natural sugar. Simple preparation, meaning any farm family with a pot could make it. Anna's combination spread through Scandinavian farming communities. Women discovering the carrot-turnip ratio that tasted best. Turnip mash appearing on tables from Wisconsin to the Dakotas. Root vegetables replace luxury. Orange brightens white. Survival mashes dignity from the cellar. Number 9. Cabbage and apple slaw. Raw cabbage and apples. Vinegar dressing. Shred cabbage thin with knife thinner to better texture. Chop apples small, leaving skin for color and nutrition. Mix together with vinegar, touch of sugar if available, salt. The slaw tastes sharp and crunchy apples, adding sweetness to bitter cabbage. Let it sit 30 minutes before serving, so flavors blend. Elizabeth Turner made slaw for Thanksgiving in Georgia. November 1932. Cabbage heads sold for 5 cents. Wild apples grew on abandoned farms, free for picking. Together, they became the only fresh food on her Thanksgiving table. Late 1932. When fresh produce meant the difference between scurvy and health, cabbage stored well and cost almost nothing. Apples added vitamin C and sweetness. Together, they provided nutrition families desperately needed. Raw vegetables preserved vitamins, cooking destroyed. Vinegar's acid broke down tough cabbage. Simple. Combination meaning any family with a knife could make it. Elizabeth's recipe spread through Georgia's cotton country. Women adding their own touches raisins, if available, different vinegar ratios. Cabbage, slaw keeping families healthy from Atlanta to Savannah. Cabbage becomes celebration. Apples add sweetness to poverty. Survival shreds hope from 5 cents. Number 10. Fried green tomatoes, end of season garden tomatoes. Before first frost kills them, slice green tomatoes thick. Dredge in cornmeal mixed with salt and pepper. Fry in hot lard until golden and crispy on both sides. The coating crunches. The tomato inside stays tart and firm. Serve hot their best, fresh from the pan. Grace Chen fried green tomatoes for Thanksgiving in California, November 1932. First frost threatened her garden. Dozens of tomatoes hung green on vines wouldn't ripen before they died. She picked every one, refused to waste what she'd grown all summer. November 1932, when garden produce meant survival. Families couldn't afford to let anything go to waste. Green tomatoes, usually discarded, became Thanksgiving side dish rather than let frost destroy them. Frying made unripe tomatoes edible. Cornmeal coating added substance and texture. Simple method, meaning any household with a pan could preserve harvest. Grace's recipe spread through California's farm communities. Women frying green tomatoes, pickling them, finding any way to save the harvest. Fried green tomatoes appearing on tables from Fresno to Sacramento. Waste nothing, frost won't defeat resourcefulness. Survival fries dignity from the unripe. Would you eat green tomatoes for Thanksgiving? Make feast from unfinished harvest? Hit like if you'd try it. Number 11. Cornmeal, mush, yellow cornmeal, and water. Salt if you had it. Boil water, whisk in cornmeal slowly to prevent lumps. Stir constantly for 20 minutes until thick as pudding. Pour into loaf pan, let cool overnight until firm. Next day, slice thick and fry in lard until crispy outside, creamy inside. The smell is corn sweet and toasted. William Jackson made cornmeal mush for Thanksgiving in Mississippi, November 1932. Sharecropper's family. Nothing left after settling with the landowner. Cornmeal was payment for picking only food they owned. He made it special by frying it crispy. Late 1932, when cornmeal sustained Southern families through depression and drought, one bag made dozens of meals. Fried crispy, it became dignified enough for Thanksgiving. This wasn't poverty food. This was Southern tradition adapted for survival. Cornmeal provided calories and texture. Frying transformed it from porridge to something celebratory. Simple method, meaning any family with cornmeal could make it. William's frying technique spread through Mississippi Delta communities. Sharecropper families making it for Thanksgiving from Clarksdale to Greenville. Cornmeal mush becoming the side dish that said, "We're celebrating despite everything." Porridge becomes celebration. Crispness creates dignity. Survival fries, hope from cornmeal. Number 12. Creamed peas on toast. Canned peas, flour, milk, toast underneath. Make white sauce flour, butter, milk stirred until thick. Add can of peas with their liquid, salt and pepper. Pour over toast. The sauce soaks into bread, peas adding color and texture. It's warm and filling, stretching 1 can to feed 6 people. Helen Rodriguez served creamed peas for Thanksgiving in Texas, November 1932. Relief Agency gave her family 2 cans of peas, government surplus from failed crops. Peas alone weren't enough. But creamed over toast, they became substantial. November 1932, when government surplus fed families who'd lost everything. Canned peas were distributed through relief agencies nationwide. Home economists taught mothers to stretch them with cream sauce. Cream sauce added fat and calories. Toast provided bulk. Simple preparation, meaning any household with a stove could make it. Helen's recipe spread through Texas relief agencies. Women learning to make cream sauce without thermometers or measuring cups. Creamed peas appearing on tables from Dallas to Houston. Government surplus becomes gratitude. Cream transforms charity. Survival pours dignity over toast. Number 13. Pickled beet salad, home canned beets from Summer Garden. Vinegar and sugar, open jar of beets canned in August. Drain, slice thin, if whole. Mix with vinegar, touch of sugar, sliced onion, if available. The beets stain everything purple. their sweetness balanced by vinegar's bite. Serve cold, they're refreshing against heavy foods. Maria Santos opened her last jar of beets for Thanksgiving in San Antonio. November 1932. She'd canned 20 jars in August winter food supply. Each jar represented precious sugar and labor. This jar was special saved for Thanksgiving because her family deserved color on their plates. Late 1932, when home-canned vegetables sustained families through winter, every jar represented summer's labor and hope. Opening one for Thanksgiving meant the holiday mattered more than rationing. Beets provided sweetness and vitamins. Vinegar made them last longer. Canning preserved summer harvest for winter celebration. Maria's canning spread through San Antonio's Mexican community, women putting up vegetables all summer, saving special jars for holidays. Pickled beets appearing on tables from the west side to the east side. Every jar carries summer's promise. Preservation means celebration. Survival opens hope from the pantry. Number 14. Depression, biscuits, flour, lard, water, nothing else. Mix flour with lard until it looks like coarse crumbs. Add water slowly until dough comes together. Pat half-inch, thick cut with glass. If you don't have biscuit cutter, bake until golden. They're plain but filling the smell of bread without the cost. Ruth Kowalski made depression biscuits for Thanksgiving in Detroit, November 1932. No eggs, no milk, no baking powder too expensive. Just flour, lard, water. But her family would have bread for Thanksgiving, even if it was hard and plain. November 1932, when even basic baking ingredients were luxury. Mothers learned to make bread without eggs, milk, or leavening. Depression biscuits became the bread that appeared on thousands of tables. Lard provided fat that made them tender. Water bound them together. Simple ratio, meaning any household with flour could bake. Ruth's 3-ingredient formula spread through Detroit's unemployed communities. Women sharing measurements, timing, techniques, depression biscuits appearing from River Rouge to Dearborn. Bread sustains dignity. Simplicity becomes celebration. Survival bakes hope from 3 ingredients. Number 15. Cornbread, cornmeal, flour, lard, water. Maybe 1 egg. Mix cornmeal with flour, pinch of salt, spoonful of lard. Add water and egg, if you have 1 baking powder if you're lucky. Pour into hot greased pan. Bake until golden and crusty outside. The smell is pure corn and toast. Slice warm, serve with anything. Dorothy Miller baked cornbread for Thanksgiving in Oklahoma, November 1932. Dust Bowl killed her wheat crop. Corn survived a tough and desperate like everything else. She ground it herself into meal, baked it because her children needed to smell bread on Thanksgiving. November 1932, when wheat failed but corn endured. Cornbread sustained families across the Dust Bowl. It was bread when wheat became impossible. This was survival grain, feeding desperate tables. Corn provided calories wheat couldn't. Lard made it tender. Simple method, meaning any household with an oven could bake it. Dorothy's cornbread spread through Oklahoma's Dust Bowl communities. Women grinding corn, baking it, serving it with pride. Cornbread appearing on tables from Cimarron County to Texas County. Survival grain becomes Thanksgiving. Corn endures what wheat cannot. Crisis bakes dignity from dust. Number 16. Leftover bread pudding, stale bread, milk, sugar, eggs if available, cinnamon, tear stale bread into pieces, soak in milk until soft. Add beaten eggs if you have them, sugar, cinnamon, pour into pan, bake until set. The top browns, the inside stays custardy, it's sweet and warm dessert from scraps. Elizabeth Harrison saved bread scraps for 2 weeks for Thanksgiving pudding. November 1932, Philadelphia, every stale crust went into a bowl. Every dried end piece, waste nothing. Thanksgiving deserved dessert, even if it was made from garbage. Late 1932, when throwing away food was criminal waste, stale bread accumulated until enough existed for pudding. Bread pudding became Thanksgiving dessert for families who couldn't afford pie. Milk softened dried bread, sugar and spice made it celebratory. Simple transformation, meaning any household with stale bread could make dessert. Elizabeth's collection technique spread through Philadelphia's neighborhoods. Women saving every crust, every crumb. Bread pudding appearing on tables from Kensington to South Philadelphia. Waste becomes celebration. Stale transforms to sweet. Survival bakes dessert from scraps. Which of these would you actually try today? Now, number 17. Water pie, butter, sugar, water, flour, vanilla, no fruit. Make crust from flour and lard. Mix filling, water, sugar, butter, flour, vanilla. It tastes sweet and buttery, nothing like fruit pie, but sweet enough to call dessert. Margaret Thompson baked water pie for Thanksgiving in Iowa, November 1932. No apples, no pumpkin, no money for any fruit. But her mother remembered water pie from her childhood depression, pie from the 1890s. Poverty repeated across generations. November 1932, when fruit was luxury and pie was tradition, families refused to surrender. Water pie was answer sweet dessert, with no fruit, no eggs, just pantry staples. This was dignity baked from almost nothing. Sugar provided sweetness. Butter added richness. Baking transformed water into something that set like custard. Margaret's water pie spread through Iowa's farming communities. Women sharing the recipe from their mothers and grandmothers. Water pie appearing on tables from Des Moines to Cedar Rapids. Water becomes desert. Impossibility bakes into sweetness. Survival measures hope by the slice. Would you serve water pie for Thanksgiving? Call it dessert and mean it. Drop a comment. Tell me if you could. Number 18. Vinegar pie. Vinegar, sugar, butter, eggs, flour, mock lemon pie. Make pastry crust from flour and lard. Beat eggs with sugar until thick. Add vinegar, butter, flour, pour into crust. Bake until set. The vinegar tastes like lemon tart and sweet together. It's not lemon pie, but it's close enough when lemons cost money. Anna Kowalski baked vinegar pie for Thanksgiving in Chicago. November 1932, lemons cost 15 cents each, impossible luxury. But vinegar sat in every pantry. Her Polish grandmother made vinegar pie during hard times in the old country. Now America needed it too. Late 1932, when citrus was imported luxury working families couldn't afford, vinegar provided tartness that mimicked lemon flavor. Vinegar pie became the dessert that tasted like something better. Vinegars, acid-balanced sugars, sweetness, eggs and butter made it rich. Simple substitution, meaning any household with vinegar could make it. Anna's recipe spread through Chicago's Polish neighborhoods. Women recognizing the taste from childhood in Europe, vinegar pie appearing on tables from back of the yards to Pilsen. Vinegar mimics luxury. Tartness becomes celebration. Survival bakes hope from the pantry. Number 19. Molasses cookies, molasses flour, lard, spices, no white sugar. Cream lard with molasses until smooth. Add flour, ginger, cinnamon, pinch of salt. Drop by spoonfuls onto pan. Bake until edges firm, but centers stay soft. They smell like gingerbread, dark and spicy and sweet. They're chewy and dense, nothing fancy, but substantial. Rose Goldstein baked molasses cookies for Thanksgiving in New York, November 1932. Sugar cost money they didn't have. Molasses was cheaper, thick, dark sweetness that went further. One jar made 3 dozen cookies. Her children deserved something sweet for Thanksgiving. November 1932, when refined sugar was luxury, molasses provided sweetness at fraction of the cost. Molasses cookies became the dessert that stretched family budgets while maintaining holiday tradition. Molasses added both sweetness and moisture. Spices made them festive. Simple recipe, meaning any household with molasses could bake. Rose's cookies spread through Lower East Side tenements. Jewish mothers baking them for Thanksgiving, for Hanukkah, for any time children needed sweetness. Molasses cookies appearing on tables from Rivington to Essex. Dark sweetness replaces white sugar. Spice creates celebration. Survival bakes dignity from molasses. Number 20. Bread pudding with raisins, stale bread, milk, raisins, minimal sugar, cinnamon. Soak stale bread in milk until soft. Add handful of raisins, spoonful of sugar, cinnamon, beaten egg, if available. Mix gently. Pour into buttered pan. Bake until top browns and inside sets. The raisins provide sweetness, natural sugar stretching white sugar further. Catherine Murphy made bread pudding for Thanksgiving in Boston, November 1932. 2-week-old bread saved specifically for this. Small box of raisins, 25 cents, but worth it for Thanksgiving dessert. The raisins meant her children got fruit, even if it was dried and minimal. Late 1932, when dried fruit was an affordable version of fresh, raisins added sweetness and nutrition to stale bread. Bread pudding with raisins became dessert that balanced poverty with dignity. Raisins provided natural sugar and iron. Bread absorbed milk and transformed. Baking created something warm and sweet from near garbage. Catherine's recipe spread through Boston's Irish neighborhoods. Women saving bread, buying small boxes of raisins for special occasions. Bread pudding appearing on tables from Charlestown to Dorchester. Dried fruit elevates stale bread. Sweetness comes from saving. Survival bakes celebration from scraps. Number 21. Baked apples, whole apples, cinnamon, tiny bit of sugar, nothing else. Core apples, leaving bottom intact. Fill center with sugar, cinnamon, dot of butter, if available. Place in pan with little water. Bake until apples soften and collapse slightly. The smell is pure autumn cinnamon and apple sweetness. They're hot and tender, natural sugar, concentrating during baking. Helen Rodriguez baked apples for Thanksgiving in Texas. November 1932, wild apples from abandoned orchard free for picking. Tiny bit of sugar and cinnamon made them festive. Whole fruit for dessert meant her family had something special. November 1932, when whole fruit was luxury, but wild apples grew everywhere. Baking transformed free-foraged fruit into Thanksgiving dessert. Baked apples became celebration that cost almost nothing. Baking concentrated apples, natural sugar, cinnamon added festive smell. Simple preparation, meaning any household with oven could make it. Helen's foraging techniques spread through Texas communities, women picking wild apples from abandoned farms. Baked apples appearing on tables from San Antonio to Austin. Wild becomes wonderful. Fruit equals celebration. Survival bakes gratitude from what grows free. Number 22. Oatmeal, cake oats, flour, molasses, lard, spices. Oats stretched expensive flour. Pour boiling water over oats. Let sit until soft. Mix with flour, molasses, lard, cinnamon, nutmeg. Pour into pan. Bake until knife comes out clean. The texture is dense and moist oats, making it substantial. The smell is warm spice and grain. Maria Santos baked oatmeal cake for Thanksgiving in San Antonio, November 1932. Flour was rationed. Oats were cheaper and lasted longer. One bag of oats made 3 cakes. Her family deserved cake for Thanksgiving, even if it wasn't fancy. Late 1932, when grain prices meant oats cost less than wheat, oatmeal stretched flour further while adding nutrition. Oatmeal cake became the dessert that fed more people for less money. Oats provided fiber and texture. Molasses added sweetness and moisture. Simple substitution, meaning any household with oats could bake cake. Maria's recipe spread through San Antonio's Mexican community. Women discovering that oats made cakes more filling. Oatmeal cake appearing on tables across South Texas. Oats elevate flour. Dense equals substantial. Survival bakes. Celebration from breakfast grain. Number 23. Switchel vinegar, molasses, ginger, water, farm workers, drink, mix, vinegar, molasses, ginger. In water ratios, vary by taste. Serve cold if you have ice, room temperature if you don't. The taste is sharp, sweet, spicy, refreshing, and energizing. It's not cider or lemonade, but it's something besides water. William Peterson served switchel for Thanksgiving in Minnesota, November 1932. No money for cider or soda. Switchel was harvest drink his father made, farm tradition from better times. For Thanksgiving, it meant they had something special to drink. November 1932, when purchased beverages were impossible luxury. Switchel cost pennies. Vinegar, molasses, ginger most families owned. It became Thanksgiving drink that marked the day as special. Vinegar provided temps, molasses added sweetness, ginger made it festive and warming. William's switchel spread through Minnesota's farming communities. Families making it for Thanksgiving, remembering harvest celebrations from before the crash. Switchel appearing on tables from farm to farm. Vinegar becomes celebration. Molasses sweetens poverty. Survival pours hope into glasses. Number 24. Dandelion coffee, roasted dandelion root. No real coffee. Dig dandelion roots, wash thoroughly. Chop and roast in oven until dark brown, smells like coffee roasting. Grind with mortar and pestle or chop fine. Brew like coffee. The taste is bitter and earthy, nothing like real coffee, but dark and hot and caffeinated enough to feel warming. Grace Chen made dandelion coffee for Thanksgiving in California, November 1932. Real coffee cost 60 cents per pound. Possible dandelions grew everywhere. She'd read about dandelion coffee in Farm Journal. Depression substitute gaining popularity. Late 1932, when coffee was luxury and substitutes became necessity. Dandelion root provided bitter flavor similar to coffee. Dandelion coffee became the hot drink that marked Thanksgiving morning. Roasting brought out bitter flavor. Brewing made it dark and hot. Free foraging, meaning any household with dandelions could make it. Grace's technique spread through California farm communities, women digging roots, roasting them, grinding them, dandelion coffee appearing on tables from Central Valley to coastal farms. Weeds become morning ritual. Bitterness becomes comfort. Survival roasts hope from roots. Could you drink dandelion coffee on Thanksgiving morning? Pretend it was real? Hit like if you'd try it. Number 25. Homemade cranberry sauce. Wild cranberries, minimal sugar, water, foraged fruit. Simmer wild cranberries in water with small amounts of sugar until they burst and thicken. The smell is tart and fruity. The sauce is less sweet than store-bought, more berry flavor, less sugar coating. It's red and glossy, the one bright color, on Depression Thanksgiving tables. Margaret Boone picked wild cranberries for Thanksgiving in Arkansas, November 1932. They grew in marshy areas near her farm, free for anyone willing to wade through cold water. She picked 2 quarts, used half the sugar the recipe called for. Her family would have cranberry sauce even if it was more tart than sweet. Late November 1932, when store-bought cranberry sauce cost money, families couldn't spare. Wild cranberries grew across the country, free holiday fruit, waiting in bogs and marshes. Homemade cranberry sauce became the tradition. Families refused to surrender. Wild cranberries provided vitamin C and color. Minimal sugar let natural tartness shine through. Foraging meant celebration without spending money. Margaret's foraging technique spread through Arkansas communities. Women trudging through marshes, picking wild cranberries, making sauce with precious ration sugar. Cranberry sauce appearing on tables from Little Rock to Fayetteville. Wild fruit becomes tradition. Tartness equals celebration. Survival simmers hope from marshes. These 25 recipes tell the story of Thanksgiving 1932. Mock turkey from ground beef. Dandelion greens from the yard. Water pie with no fruit. Families celebrating on $2. They didn't have abundance, but they had gratitude. They didn't have plenty, but they had pride. They didn't surrender tradition to poverty. These weren't poverty meals. These were acts of love. Mothers creating feasts from scraps. Dignity baked into every dish. November 1932. 25 recipes. $2. Infinite resilience. These families survived because they refused to let hunger destroy Thanksgiving. They adapted, they foraged, they transformed nothing into celebration. We'll never face that desperation, but we should never forget the mothers who did. Next time you sit down to abundance, remember the families who gave thanks over dandelion greens and water pie. Remember that gratitude doesn't require plenty sometimes, it requires its opposite. If this changed how you see your Thanksgiving table, hit like if you're grateful for what you have. Drop a comment. Subscribe for more forgotten history that America needs to remember. Survival celebrates with whatever remains, always has, always will.